Hey guys, it's Chris from TSX Machina.
I'm Dave from Ramped Wolf Games.
Oh, we're playing the Metal Gear Solid now, are we?
We are playing Metal Gear Solid.
Well, we are here to continue our list. We're putting them out on a pretty regular basis because there are huge gaps, and I've lost like 20 pounds. That's the last time I did this.
And I gained it. No, I'm just
No. Well, we things happen.
Yeah.
Life, the world happens. But we're continuing. We're down to our last two. In fact, we're doing 20 to 11.
That's right.
And this is now at this point. This is a very interesting list because I had stuff in my top 5, and as I was adding stuff, things that were in the top 5 a year ago are now out of the top 10. And that's not because they're bad, it's just because there are so many good things in there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I have to put this here, I have to put this here, I have to push this out.
I had to add a game into my number 2 spot, and it bumped stuff because it was just like, yeah.
Is it new?
Yep.
Wow, I don't have anything that new.
Yeah.
No, I do have some things that are relatively new, but not that new. Okay, so let's start off with number 20. Let's get our hands out. Hercules. Ha ha!
Should have known that was going to happen.
Should have known.
All right, hit it.
Number 20. I like games where you are developing tableaus. Sometimes you have engine builders. Engine builders are cool because you get to build something that feeds off each other. But sometimes these engine builders are very abstract, and I like games where it's not abstract, where you are physically building something. Not necessarily physically building like an actual physical tower, but you are constructing something, right? Where it's and one of the ones
I know what this is.
What do you think it is?
Terraforming Mars.
No, but Terraforming Mars is in the same genre.
Yes.
In fact, it's a game that's compared very closely to Terraforming Mars, and that's a game called Underwater Cities.
Oh.
I did not have a very good first experience with this game because my wife failed to relate the rules properly, and she won. And then we played it again, and she forgot to relay another rule, and she won again. And then we played it a third and fourth time, and we finally understood the rules correctly, and now it's very, very good. And I got the expansion. The expansion is really good. Even if you don't use a lot of the expansion additionals, the fact that it comes with a double-layered board, so it's not like Terraforming Mars, you go, and everything gets destroyed, it's actually sunken. But the fact that you actually have this domed cities with tunnels, and it's all built, and it's a very cool, very satisfying experience. And it's just an action selection game, you know?
By the way, Kickstarter, GameFound, whatever the hell you're using, creators, if you have a board that has lots of stuff on it and you don't dual layer it, you are a heathen. And if you can't afford to put out your game without, because you dual layer with big turkey, you know what? I don't care. Dual layer your board. Stop being freaking lazy.
You're talking to a guy who blew $5,000 on injection molding so he could have a double high tray. But that wasn't even because they were constructing things. We were just trying to find a way so the cards wouldn't explode out too far from your play area.
But I mean, put it as a stretch goal. I've seen that now where I'm like, okay, I'll bite you. You put it as a stretch goal. But if you know your game needs dual layer player boards, freaking do it.
Oh, bitch. Really?
Yeah.
Or what they'll do is that they'll sell it to you as an expansion, because that's how it is. They're mimicking video games.
What was the game that did that recently?
It's all about DLC. Hell, Tapestry had an expansion where half the game was a freaking errata of the main core game.
There's a game that just did that recently where, I'm trying to remember which one it is now. Continue talking about your game that you think is good at number 20.
I think it's good. A lot of people think it's good. Graphic design is really, really solid. I quite enjoy. It is a simple process. It's a worker placement game without actually having workers. It's more about closing doors on actions. You go to an action, someone else does an action. You just alternate, and that's it. And there's a bunch of ways to get points, but at the end of the day, you're creating these dome cities on your tableau. And at the end of the game, you have this cool little thing that's entirely unique and to your own.
Yep.
So it's the game.
I couldn't find it actually because it must be on GameFound, and GameFound is so useless. Like, they don't have a good app, and it's just so hard to find, like, the last...
Considering how many places are opting to use it now, but I'm like,
It's not an optimized platform.
And yeah, they're probably cheap. Unless you have a name to it, you have a mailing list of thousands, but tens of thousands of people. Don't touch GameFound. Because it's a rich toys playground, and I don't know any Kickstarters that were unknown that blew up on GameFound.
No.
It doesn't happen. You blow up on Kickstarter. You do not blow up on GameFound. You want GameFound because you want to have more control and you want to kick less of your money to all the companies.
Yeah.
Because, when you're running a Kickstarter, back takes their cut, Kickstarter takes their cut, and it gets very frustrating after a while. But anyway, that's my number 20. Underwater Cities. To you, sir.
All right, my number 20.
That's tight. 2 point.
My number 20 comes in as a game that we will call the original sandbox game. It is a great game. You can choose to play it your way.
Have I listed that game yet? Oh, I must have listed it already.
I think you did already.
Yeah, I did.
I'm surprised it's that far down.
Yeah, I think it's because the other games are just kicking it off, and so it's way off 36 for me.
So we've already talked about this one at number 36 apparently, which is Xia: Legends of a Drift System.
Saying it wrong.
Nope. So you get to be able to play this game. You can choose to be a pirate. You can be a merchant. The only part, of course, with that is that just like any other video games out there and stuff these days, you may want to play a non-combative role, but that doesn't mean your wife's not going to try and kill you.
Or that's my only issue with the game. The reason why I think it gets bumped. It is the best sandbox of its type. I haven't seen Western Legends. I heard it's fantastic.
Yep.
But I love sci-fi, and I'm not a huge fan.
It was the first sandbox.
Yeah,
Western
Legends
was
the first. And I still think it's personally my favorite, even though I haven't played Western Legends, just from the genre. I prefer it because just the genre.
Different.
The issue with Xia, the reason why it falls on my list, is because randomization could kick you down, and if they kick you down, you're never standing back up. Like, you can do very well, but unless another player also fumbles and gets killed, like I said, Nicole got killed by a patrol because she did something illegal, and she took a risk, and she failed, and she's like, I don't want to play this anymore because I will always be last place. And we were 20 minutes into a 3-hour game, so we stopped playing. And that's unfortunately a situation that can pop up. You have the randomization of the dice, but But there's so much about the game that's like the tetrahedral spaceships, the number of spaceships. But I also dislike the fact that despite the fact it's open sandbox, there's absolutely very, very little variety. You play the game, there are no new surprises. Other than where things come out.
Yes.
But it's not like there's a cool story. Like for a game that's so popular and a game that people talk about so highly, it's weird that he's only put out a very tiny expansion and he hasn't done anything else.
Yes. Iridia.
No, I mean for that system.
Oh, for that system, yeah. But I think Iridia is following the same system. But I don't think we're going to see much right now because of personal, family, medical issues, which, God forbid, I'm not going to go into it. It's not my place to say, but all the backers know. And I'm sure if you follow it all, you'll probably know. But anyways... So yeah, that quiet in the Corey camp right now, unfortunately.
So yes.
So that's my number 20, Xia: Legends of a Drift System.
My number 19 was a game that I was certain was going to be in the top 10, and up until a year ago, it was in the top 5. And now, just because I started to think logically about this, and I've actually I won't say gone to war, but I've been very critical, not very critical. People have been very critical of me because I came out in massive defense of this virtually unknown game.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, I called it the best cooperative game ever. And I don't mean cooperative game like... I don't follow it in the form of Gloomhaven, because Gloomhaven is a dungeon crawl.
I know which one it was. Sorry to interrupt. But anyways, it was Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition. They double layered the boards.
Oh, cool.
So now you rebuy all the characters all over again just to get the double layer boards so your stuff doesn't get knocked around.
Yeah, but that game only has like 1 or 2 trackers on it.
Yeah, I know.
A hit point. That's not a big deal. Terraforming Mars. There's 8 trackers. So yes, please, thank you.
Yeah,
and especially with the with Underwater Cities and all the bases. But in retrospect, I realized there are better cooperative games. Not very many because I don't have a lot of from this point on. But I was so impressed with this game.
Mm-hmm.
I played it. Everybody I played it with like, wow, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much to do. It uses a very simple formula. It's a play off of Castle Panic, but it adds so much. There's so much texture, and the fact that every other game in this IP sucks. I'm really surprised this one stands out. And it's a game that nobody here probably heard of. It is Robotech Attack on the SDF-1. There are a dozen Robotech games on the market. And 2 or 3 of them are okay. 4 or 5 of them blow. Some of the companies that make them have scrubbed them from their website because no one's buying them. Japanime and Strange Machine are still doing some products out for it. And 2 new games that have come out have completely vanished. Strange Machine's new game, I haven't heard hide nor hair from nearly a year. And the other one by Solar Flare died on re-entry. I don't know where it is. Like, they're saying this game's coming out, and I've seen copies for sale on eBay. But, like, did they make 50 of these things? Or are these just prototypes for sale? Because good luck.
It's like that Kickstarter cooler thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So or in the case of Robotech RPG Tactics, half the backers don't have their games, but I was able to buy one just off of Amazon. So, but Robotech Attack on the SDF-1 is a cooperative game. You're playing the characters you know from the Robotech franchise. The SDF-1's in the center. It's a ship that you can swivel, kind of like the Enterprise in Star Trek Panic. But there's a lot of story. There's missions that pop up. You get to carry on your experience from the first mission to the second, and you have 4 episodes that are entirely based off of episodes from the show. There's a huge tracker that tracks everything. I love the cooperation aspect. You get 2 actions, I get 2 actions, I get 2 actions, and then we all collectively have 9 actions. We have to decide who's going to do what this turn and who gets those other actions. So boom, right there. Huge cooperation aspect. It's not about I'm helping you. It's like we have a pool of 9 extra actions. Who's going to use them? And it can't be selfish. We need to have a very good reason why we're giving 4 extra cards to Lisa Hayes or what have you. And it's neat. It's also different because if you're 2 or 3 of the characters stay on the SDF-1, 2 or 3 to be flying around like Folk or Rick Hunter or Max are flying around dealing with
before he dies.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Because these are all early episodes. We don't get to that. Yeah. And the best part is the fact that one of the things you can do is transform the SDF-1. And when that happens, you take the model and you put this huge cardboard standee that's about 10 inches tall. There's no mechanical reason for it, but I don't care. You put this tall 10-inch model and you rotate it and you fire it. It's like, oh my God. And you can do the Daedalus maneuver. If you would do everything. But the best part, there's so many little in-jokes. If you have Max and Miria pops up, you have a chance of bringing her to your side, and then you flip the Max character over, and it's both of you.
Nice.
And I love the fact that one of the random elements is Lin Minmei, and she's a detrimental crisis you have to solve
she always
to remove her from the game.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. There's so many things about that game. It takes Pandemic, Castle Panic, merges them together, gives you way more things to mitigate.
Yep.
So you never feel as if you're a slave to die rolls, even though there are card decks, there's die rolls, there's all of that. But it gives you enough horsepower, enough machines in the game, enough firepower to combat these crises. Yep. So anytime I want to play Castle Panic, anytime now I want to play Pandemic, I'm like, can we play Robotech Attack with the SDF-1? Because we can do the next mission. And like I said, I played it by myself once, and I was like, holy crap, this game is good. The next day we played it with a group, and they're like, wow, this has no rights being as good as it is. Yep. Anyway, that's my number 19. I rant about it because I love the game. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and people were like, I don't respect you anymore because you cannot be that good a game. And that is Robotech Attack on the SDF-1. To you.
All right. My number 19 is a game that is by a game company who is well known for overproducing their games, but they do it in such a way that you're like, yes, please take my money, because they produce games that are amazing. This is the same.
It's not Steamon.
Nope. This is the same company who I believe one of the games. Try to find it. There it is. Yeah, it is Hoplomachus, Burn Cycle. They've done Triplock, Cloud Spire.
Oh,
Chip Theory Games.
The movie's like, oh, these guys, yeah. But it's not Cloud Spire. It's going to be...
No, it's going to be Too Many Bones.
Yeah.
Which, if you thought you liked dice, oh my God, look out. This game has
If there's a dice shortage, look for Too Many Bones. That's where all the dice...
Yeah, that's where all the dice are.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we were out of dice. Too Many Bones took them all. Because it's like 60, 80 dice in that box?
There's more than that, because each character themselves have like 30 dice. And the dice are nice. They're screen printed.
I know.
Oh,
they're so pretty.
they are very.
I've actually not played the game, but you showed me.
Oh yeah.
Like the mouse pad boards.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so overproduced, but I love it.
The
poker chip, health chips. Oh, there's nothing better than having you can actually see how much health the enemy's got, because that's their stack of health chips. You put it down, and then it's your stack of health chips, and you put yours down on the field. And you're just like, oh damn, this is gonna hurt. I need to roll something. And yeah, there's a lot of randomization due to the fact that it's rolling.
Yeah, a lot of rolling.
But it feels so.
So right.
It feels so right rolling that many dice. But one of the things that this game is definitely, I will criticize for, it is not a game you can easily get someone into, because it is information overload. When you hand someone an 8.5 by 11 page that has all the combinations of their dice and what they mean, and on the flip side is a tactics on how they should run their character, and like it's double-sided 8.5 by 11 sheet of information that you're handing to somebody. That's a lot of information, as opposed to, now someone's going to say, yeah, well, 40-page manual is a lot of information. Yeah, but this is your player aid. It's an 8.5 by 11 double-sided player aid.
It's like Root, or what the hell is that cooperative game? This little cooperative game, Spirit Island.
Well,
like, here's how your character plays specifically. Don't worry, no one else knows how to do this.
Well, and I mean, it's nice that they've gotten to the point where they're just like, okay, they'll give you the difficulty of playing those people, but then you think about yourself, it's like, well, okay, if this is hard and I've got an easy character, what the hell is it like playing a complex character? And that's when you start having people who have like, pets and stuff, but they have a huge campaign in that game where it's got this huge arcing story, but the cards that form the encounters, basically, it reminds me a little bit of the codex system that Fantasy Flight has for games like Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, even Arkham Horror card game, I think, and like Fallout, where you have a stack of stuff that are your encounters. You flip it over. If you do something with that encounter, possibly that's going to cause different cards to shuffle back into the encounter deck, which then may come up later. So that's really interesting. The mechanic for how the monsters attack is always going to be, it's always a 4x4 grid. That's the max of what it's going to be. And you have 8 slots on your side to 8 slots on the other side. So you can never have more than 8 baddies, that's what they're actually called in the game, coming out against your gear locks. But it is a lot. And there's ways you can mitigate it, so you'd be happy about that, because then that's where the too many bones comes in. Whereas if you roll your dice and you get bones as opposed to actual hits, you stack those up, and then they allow your character to do almost like a limit break from Final Fantasy. And that's where I'm just like, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So
that's my number 19, Too Many Bones. Yes, you need to try it someday.
Every once in a while, like, because you can order it from their website, like that's the only place where you can get it. It's kind of the same boat as Seventh Continent, where it's like, don't bother looking for retail, just come to us. And I was like, do I want to? It's like Cloudspire, because Cloudspire you can buy retail, and I look at how much it is. I'm like, no, I can't. It's like it's like the cheapest price I've seen. It's like I would rather buy 2 Vicenza Lacerda games. It's like, I could buy the deluxe version of Vinhos and Kanban for the same price, and that says a lot, because those games are each like $140. It's nuts. Anyway, my number 18 is another cooperative game. It's a cooperative game that I didn't care for, and then they made it better with a patch. That should be feeding the obvious answer, because only one game could do that. I'm also very spoiled, because I played this game in the perfect environment possible, but I played it, I thought, this game is good, it's got a fatal flaw, and I told you there was a fatal flaw. We did a list about top 10 things we would change about a game, and it was like number 1 or number 2. And
this can't be Lord of the Rings Journey of Middle-earth.
It is absolutely the Lord of the Rings Journey of Middle-earth. The Journey of Middle-earth, I played for the first time in an actual literal hobbit hole. You can see it on video on my channel. The literal hobbit hole we played, we unboxed it, we learned the game, and I went, wow, this game is really fun. But it's not Journey through Middle-earth, it is Race through Middle-earth, because the time mechanic is so brutal, so difficult, you don't have time to explore anything. It wasn't fun. And then it was also unbalanced too, because the journeying part was incredibly difficult, but then the combat encounters were supremely easy and fast. So those you burn through, and then you do another exploration one, and you get your ass kicked. And then finally, after about 8-9 months, they updated the app, because that's something you can do for free, and added the adventure mode. The adventure mode delayed the clock substantially. It allowed you to experiment, to have fun, to explore without worrying about the frickin' clock. And it made the game infinitely better. So much, though, that I don't know if this game would have been in my top 100 if they hadn't done that. And now it's in my top 20. It's that good. It's also, unlike the other games that are in that same ilk, is that we are constantly, we are one mission away from finishing off the core campaign. We're actually enjoying it that much. The storyline is, it's ass. It's typical Lord of the Rings. It's just, oh god, the darkness and orc and magic and Middle Earth because reasons. It's just, it doesn't have the type of in-depth storytelling that something like Mansions of Madness has.
Yes.
But I like the campaign, I like the fantasy atmosphere, and I like the fact that you can take your time and explore. And that is 18, Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
So my number 18 is a game that you probably wouldn't expect to be in here because it's a 2-player game. And you know me.
Yeah, you don't care for that.
I don't do play 2-player games.
We have tons. I have a couple in still to come.
This one is a 2-player game that you can sort of expand to 4, but for the most part it's a 2-player game. It rarely hits my table, but the reason why it's so high on my list is because of the theme, or the what are we calling it? The topic. The subject matter. That's the word I was looking for.
What's the subject matter?
World War II. It is Heroes of Normandy.
Okay. I was going to say, it's not Axis and Allies, is it?
It's Heroes of Normandy.
Okay.
I love
Number
Heroes
10, Monopoly. I'll get the hell out of here.
I love Heroes of Normandy because I love the building your armies and having these little cardboard punch outs of the units. I can be a grognard without having to paint anything. Because I have all my little tanks and my infantry, and I can build an army, and I can have massive combat if I can ever find someone to play with this. But the times I have played it, I love it. I play the digital version. I love it. It's just, I love this game. The Heroes combat system, they used it in Shadows over Normandy, which was a Cthulhu-inspired retelling of World War II. And they even did it with Heroes of Blackreach, which was Warhammer 40k, which I have over there somewhere.
Over there somewhere. Somewhere over there.
Which is just awesome to see Warhammer 40k as little cardboard flat. It's so awesome because it's literally, I feel like the middle figure to the guys who do all the painting of the minis, because it's just like, yeah, here's my army. It's just cardboard. So that's my number 18, Heroes of Normandy.
I don't think I've ever played this game.
No, you haven't. I would know because you would tell me. Yeah. But I'm surprised you haven't, because it is a 2-player game. I could probably lend you the Heroes.
Well, is it 2-player attacking game?
It's 2 players versus.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah, that's probably why.
I mean, outside of Warhammer, which I haven't played Warhammer War Machine in 10 years. My number 17 is a game that I don't know as if it's going to go up or is it going to go down. I think, from a mechanical point of view, I think I enjoy this game potentially more than its brother, which, spoilers, will show up. But there's certain things about this game that might bring it down. I know some people have complained because some of the tokens are microscopic. And when I mean small, I mean they have tokens that are that big, square. And I'm looking at, like, there had to have been a better way of doing this. I know why it's there, because they don't want you to use an action over and over. As you use the action, you put this token there, and it shows it's getting worse and worse and worse. And finally, it goes down to nothing, and you don't get the bonus for using that action anymore. But I'm thinking there had to have been a better way than using these microscopic tokens. If you didn't know any better, I was like, what are these for? The game is Dinosaur World.
Oh!
Dinosaur World is super fun. You have those jeeples, you have silk printed dinosaurs.
Did you get the extra jeeples? Because I didn't get the extra.
Yeah, I got it. I love the fact that it feels very mechanically different than Dinosaur World while still maintaining a lot of the common ideas. You got the dice, but you create these tiles, you move your vehicle across the terrain doing the actions and so forth. It feels interesting. I like how it works. I don't regret getting it. I also, unlike I was mentioning earlier about franchises, and I didn't want to combine them, mechanically Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island are very different, despite thematically being similar. It would be like saying, I'm not going to put in what's Mansions of Madness, and what's the game you always play?
Descent.
No, Mansions of Madness, the setting. What's the
other? Cthulhu.
Yeah, like having two different Cthulhu games and then by the same company and saying, I'm going to put all Cthulhu games in one state. You can't do that.
No, I have no idea how many Cthulhu games
it's the IP. And dinosaurs, there's Dino Genesis and so forth, which I haven't played. But yes, Dinosaur World I feel is different enough to justify its own position. I think it's a fun game. I think there's a chance with future plays it might go up because Dinosaur Island has its own issue. Like Dinosaur World has a smaller footprint. It's really refined. Dinosaur Island is a game you take 20 minutes to set up. You play for 3 or 4 hours, and you have a hell of a time. Mm-hmm. Dinosaur World is a much tighter, much faster experience, and I do enjoy it for that. That's number 17, Dinosaur World.
My number 17 is a game that, sadly, I've only ever played
Dinosaur Planet. They got to make that one next. So, Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur. Oh, go ahead.
What's
Dinosaur Galaxy?
No, it need to be Dinosaur Return of the King. There you go. Or Dinosaur 2 D2.
Dinosaur 2, even more dinosaurs, or
like Terminator 2.
D3, Rise of the Dinosaurs.
There you go.
Dinosaur World Fallen Kingdom. What's the new Jurassic Park one coming out?
Dominion, I think.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be
I've already bought my tickets.
It's gonna be Dinosaur World Dominion.
Yeah, Dinosaur World Dominion. I only played once. It was a crazy ass game. Played with 7 people.
Played once and it's on this list already?
Played with 7 people. It got to the point where we were playing till midnight, and all of us were just like, "But what? Where'd the time go?"
Wait, is this?
Oh, it is.
Oh.
And
okay, I'll give you this. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, this was an amazing game. It actually started with all of us sitting down and watching a 30-minute through how to play the game. Which, when you look over at everyone else, they're all just kind of like,
yeah, we didn't know how to play.
We get into?
And then we sat down, and it took us like another half an hour to get going, and then it was like 1 a.m. We're like, oh. What the fuck? I got it. I bought it.
Yep.
I bought it. Although this is the horrible thing is, I bought it. It was really inexpensive because it was on like a super sale, right? So I got the nice big box set, and then Nicole saw the water and the flying bird expansion. I'm like, no, we don't need it. We have 4 races we can play with. We haven't played this one yet. Let's play this game a couple times, and then you can buy the birds. So I go on.
Yeah. I've got it all. And that is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea by Gamelin Games. And basically, I think they got tired of hearing Tom Vassell possibly say, "Oh, it's a good game, but why does it have to be tiny?"
I was like, "Okay, fine. We're going to take this game. We're going to take all of our tiny games. I'm going to slam into one and make it gigantic."
And did they ever? Holy cow!
But it still has all the best mechanics of those games. Like, it was like it's a best of Gamelin game.
It really is. I wish I could get it to the table more. Because, honestly, it is a great game, and I wonder why it doesn't hit the table more.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because it's so big.
Well, also...
I wish it was tinier. Just kidding.
That being said, it's like, I wish we could take it to the table more, but it's so big. It's so big because you have 7 people come to the game.
Yep.
And it is at that scale, you're looking at Twilight Imperium kind of scale, right? You're looking at that. That type of scale, because it took up this entire table and we were squeezed.
Yep.
So yeah, of course it took us.
Everybody's player boards were off on coffee tables because there was no room on the table.
Yeah.
So that was my number 17, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
It has some absolutely amazing mechanics. I mean,
yes.
I love the follow-up mechanic, which was carried over from Tiny Epic Galaxies, and it has great minis and little cardboard. Like we had a ton. Like Nicole had no idea what she was expecting, other than the fact that I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got it, we spent like a half an hour building everything. She's like, "Oh my god, there's so much cool stuff in this game."
Yep. All right, so what's your 16?
Mine is the as far opposite of your title as you can be without going the other direction.
Okay.
Because my game is a 2-player game.
Oh, God.
It's in a box about yay big, right? And I played it a gajillion times because it is a fantastic solitaire game.
Is this that...
No.
No, it's not the one that's like folklore, but... something draw, is it?
No, it's not Grimslingers.
Oh, okay, that's what Grimslingers.
Grimslingers is a bad game with a fantastic theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish they took Folklore's mechanic and made it as Grimslingers, because Grimslingers is a great idea with a bad game attached to it. Nope, this is Onirim.
Ah.
Onirim was very high on my list, and it's slowly been bumped down, because at the end of the day, it's a very simplistic solitaire game. But I always think it deserves mention because it is such a well-made, tightly designed. It can play 2 players, but it's fully playable, and its default is a solitaire game. There's a whole bunch of games in the same line.
Mm-hmm.
Onirim is so far and above better than all the others. The others are good, but this one is great. There is one of the greatest apps out there, right up there with Ascension's app. Onirim's app is just amazing. And the thing about the game I like is that if you buy the game, it comes inbuilt with like 5 expansions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to enjoy the game, you include them all. Because the core game is interesting, but it's very, very difficult because there's very little mitigation.
Yeah.
It's only like 2 or 3 things you can mitigate to the randomization of the deck. You have to shuffle multiple times. However, the expansions, although they add another challenge, like adding in more cards or adding in more things you have to combat,
mm-hmm.
they also give you more mitigation. And the mitigation circumvents even the crises. So in a full game, in a basic game, you gotta get like 5 doors.
Yeah.
In the full game, you have to get through 11 doors, which you think is like that's crazy powerful. And yet, my win rate on the full game is 83%, which is a ratio I like. And I've always said the best cooperative games have a win rate, if you know how to play the game, a win rate of about 80%. And a lot of people don't get that hint. And the fact that one of the best cooperative games on my list, I have about an 80% win rate. And that's what makes a cooperative game great. Not a 20% brutal win rate where you lose 9% of the time. Get this through your fucking head. We do not want overly difficult games. Let us enjoy them. And Onirim is a perfect example. Base Onirim is very difficult. And as you add the expansions, the game gets fun and it gets easier, but it's tactical. You can't just go into a blind. You have to think about things. But the fact that you have more things under your control makes the game easier because you know how to play it. That's how you do it. And that's why I think Onirim it's the best 2-player game out there. It's fantastic as a cooperative experience. It's fun on its own. The app is amazing. I probably have 10,000 games on my credit at this point. And that is number 16, Onirim.
All right. My number 16 comes in at 16 because that's the number. It's a game that lent its mechanics to a game that's very similar to it, but they wanted to make it fantasy. That was Sword and Sorcery. It's by Gremlin Projects and Ares Games. This is Galaxy Defenders.
Wow.
If you want Men in Black, not XCOM, the board game.
Men in Black? I played this game with you. This does not look like...
If you want XCOM, the board game, this is XCOM, the board game. This is what XCOM, the board game should have been, and it has got a huge story to it. If you have everything all the way through, they've got like the first attack, they've got we're trying to strike back, and now we're going to go back to their home planet and kick their ass. It's a great game. The story is good.
Production quality could be a bit better.
Production quality probably could be a little bit better.
It definitely shows its age.
Yes.
There's this era of games when, I don't know, the graphic design, like I said, that one cooperative game I had? It was an alien invasion game that was based off of Castle Panic. It looks very much like that game, but I'm like, well, this is when nobody really knew how to do graphic design. It was in that difficult phase when Euros had just stamped their claim, but before games got really good looking, there was this one era, and that game falls into that category. It's a good game, but It's not the prettiest.
No,
in my opinion, I don't think it's a very pretty game.
No, but I love how you can get different stuff that bolts onto your weapons and stuff, and
that part
you can get power suits
the
that bolt on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty freaking cool. So that's my number 16, Galaxy Defenders.
You were talking. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to get in there. I'm sure we went on ranting topics about double layered boards.
Yes.
And how much we like double layer boards.
Yeah.
And, because the double layer player board is cool. But how about a double layered global board?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Like an entirely 6-tiled folding game board that was double layered.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. But that would be insane. Because one, a double layer board would be about that thick when you fold it because it's quite literally 2 boards stamped together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played Smartphone Inc.
Yeah.
Which is a double layered game board. I opened out like, oh my god, the entire board is double layer.
Yep.
That takes cojones.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard enough. Imagine if Smartphone Inc. was single layer and you have to put all those cubes out on the board and one little tap and you ruined everything. They said, nope, we're going to spend the extra money and the entire board's going to be double layered.
I enjoy the game a lot. I'm surprised I didn't put it on this list, probably just because I don't know why.
So for me, the best part of though, I've said this before, there are certain games that suck and nobody buys them and they get forgotten. But I look and go, that's a neat mechanic that's vanishing with that game.
Yes.
And there was this game that I played called Alchemistry. Not very, very good game. Not a very good game at all. I was given it for free from Dice Tower. It's not a very good game. Nicole and I reviewed it. You can find it on our channel. But it had one neat idea. And it wasn't even the main mechanic. It was like a side mechanic. It was like, this is the game. It's a bag builder, which I know you love. But there's this one thing where if you do this one thing, you get these 2 cards and you lay them. And you have to cover 2 of them up with the other card. And you configure them, and whatever's exposed is what you get. Mm-hmm. And then Smartphone Inc. said, okay, I'm going to take that idea and make that the core mechanic. So there's only like 8 rounds in the entire game. Mm-hmm. And then at the beginning of it, you configure which actions you will be doing. And then whichever actions, every time you go from step to step, that's how many times you do that action based off of that card. Yep. Fantastic idea. You could tweak it so you get extras and stuff. And so you plan that whole year out. And I love the fact there's different strategies. I love the fact it's not about, oh, this is the strategy that wins the game. No. I like the fact that I had somebody coming in and they were selling expensive smartphones out of North America. Yeah. And then I went for the cheap route. And I was coming out of, I think, Australia or South Africa. And I was putting out cheap phones, as cheap as possible. Which means I had to do a lot more to get points. But they were cheaper. Mm-hmm. And I was constantly neck and neck with these other people that would get these massive point boosts for very little sales. But the issue is that their engine wasn't very well sustainable, which means they had to spend so much money in order to get these extras onto the market. And so in the last turn, I dumped once again. I went for the cheap route. And I was expecting them to surge past me, and they stalled because they ran out of funds for their phones. Yeah. And I roared past them with my cheap budgeted tone. In fact, and then my friend Bo, I think, got like 2nd or 3rd place following my strategy.
With HTC phones, that's what you
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it's smartphone. It's a smartphone. I also love the fact that there's a 2-player game that uses a completely different board. Yep. You flip the whole thing over. It's just like crazy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Smartphone. I haven't got the expansions yet. But
is that your number 15?
That is my number 15.
Okay. You hadn't said yet, so I'm hoping this is number 15.
It is, yeah. It is 15. It is 15. Right. Smartphone Inc. Beautiful game. It's very simplistic, very white.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, number 15, Smartphone Inc.
All right, coming in at number 15 for me is a game that apparently you seem to think draws its art from Grimslingers, or vice versa. It is one of the best RPG in a boxes that I've played for a while. It's actually one that I'm doing a campaign for right now. And that is Folklore of the Affliction.
Well, that's easy enough. It's done by the same people, and the artist that does work for Grimslingers did some of the artwork for Folklore. Like I said, I wish Grimslinger, the Folklore setting, got swapped out with Grimslingers, and we had Folklore using the Grimslinger setting. That's just what I was saying. We literally said like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So I love Folklore. The way that They brought in the percentiles to actually into the combat. It was a great move by Greenbrier Games. I love it. It was awesome. The fact that they took a lot of those mechanics that you like in either video games or regular RPGs, where it's like, okay, you've got a character, you have to choose a path. Are you going to be an illusionist who's a summoner, or are you going to be an illusionist who's a trickster? And then that's the path you're on. So that now you're choosing your stuff based on that. So now you have more replayability, because maybe you'll do an illusionist next time as a summoner, not the trickster this time. Getting that wrong. It's not actually trickster. I can't remember what it is, but it is summoner is correct, but I can't remember what the other one on the illusionist is.
I played this game once with you. I liked the cut of its jib.
Yeah. I love the fact that if you...
Not terribly impressed with the setting, but I like the cut of its jib.
Yeah. I love the fact that if you don't know how to play the game will actually teach you the game right out of the box. The first bit of it actually teaches you how to play the game. It'll be actually like, oh, pause now. This is what you need to know. And I've rarely run through games where they're just like, yeah, we're going to teach you this as you play. And that's something I think a lot of board games could learn from. Where maybe your tutorials, that's basically what it is. It's a tutorial game. A mission is your first mission in the game, where you don't get that in board games. You have a massive rule book, but it's a lot easier to learn as you play. And if they had tutorials, I think that might bring more people into the hobby, I think. So that's my number 15, Folklore: The Affliction by Greenbrier Games.
Greenbrier Games.
Yes.
They like you, don't they?
Yeah, Julie's pretty cool.
Yeah,
she's pretty good. She's fairly responsive on social media.
My number 14 is a place marker, because my wife would be angry if I didn't have this game on my list. If you remember when we did our predicting our wives' favorite games?
Oh, yeah.
I won that competition between you and me, because I was able to predict what my wife's favorite games were, and this was one of them. It's actually not a bad game. It's just a very, very big game. It's gigantic. But I do like it better than Feast for Odin, which is the other game she loves, and I think she likes, I do believe...
Is this Carcassonne?
No, Carcassonne is not high. It is, however, Caverna.
Oh, yes, the sheep.
The sheep and the dwarves. I actually like Caverna a lot, but it's another one of those games where it just like takes you 20 minutes to set up. You play for 3.5 hours. It is a very fun game. I enjoy playing it. I like it way more than Feast for Odin, because it's, once again, unlike Feast for Odin, where you're just tetraminos and you're throwing things together, and it's like very abstract. Caverna is just like, no, I've built something. This is my whole. The dwarves have formed. They have a family. They have a kid. And there's multiple ways to combat. You can go, I'm going to dungeon dive and get monsters, and that's how I'm going to play this game.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm going to dig into the rock face and mine, and that'll be my way. No, I'm not going to do any of those, and I'm going to create farms and have a sheep and a cow and breed horses.
Yeah. I've never played the game.
No, that was a very, very subtle pop culture reference. I know. It's like, I gotta live a farm in Fiji. Get a sheep.
Oh, Red Dwarf.
Get a sheep and a cow and breed horses. With a sheep and a cow? No, with horses and horses.
As soon as you said Fiji, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, farm on Fiji. Get a sheep and a cow and breed horses. With a sheep and a cow? No, with horses and horses.
With wetlock wool knits.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because of the volcanic eruption, the half of Fiji 3 feet below sea level. No,
that's why he's gonna get the land sheep. Yeah,
you can wade. You can cross street and have leaping mutton. Boy, I went off topic. Yes, but so anyway, so that's that. Yeah, that I like Caverna. It's a very fun game. There's a lot of strategy. It's very, very big, and I've prevented Nicole from getting expansions because she plays this game. She enjoys it. I'll throw all this list. I actually think I would rather play Caverna right now. Because like, you want to crack out a game and play, like, let's play Caverna. Go home and go, honey, let's play Caverna. It's been so long. And she'd be like, give me 5 minutes.
You should text her before you leave.
No, she'll be passed out before I get home. No, Caverna is like, she'll set it up today, and then we'll play it tomorrow when she comes home. And then we'll finish it on Thursday.
Yeah.
But that's my number 14, Caverna, the Cave Farmers. Not the other. I heard the Caverna 2-player one's really, really good. I haven't played it.
My number 14 is a game that comes in as another digital hybrid entry.
Oh, okay.
done by the same company who does Chronicles of Crime. So
No,
Lucky Duck
okay,
Games.
okay, no, it's not that one. Can't be that one. Okay, so it must
So
be.
this is Destinies, which is basically it's a 3-player game. It's a weird one. It's only 3 players, and it is a lot like taking Seventh Continent and putting a digital board game into it.
Oh, I'm sure that went over well.
The execution is good. I don't know about how the reception, but I enjoyed it. I know when we've played it, we've enjoyed it. It's got the fog element where it's like, oh, these are the places you can't see, but we'll have them grayed out, and then when you go to there, we'll flip over that tile and it'll become colored.
Why haven't I heard? Like, where is this game?
It's right up there.
Am I just completely off? Like, I must know about this game, but why am I blanking on this?
You've never played it.
I know just because I haven't played it with you doesn't mean I shouldn't know what it is. I have played a lot of games without you.
I don't know.
But I've not even heard of this game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game.
I gotta write this down.
Destinies.
Like, I'm actually a little upset. Like, at this point, there shouldn't be any surprises. Because 80s and 90s, sure, we'll list games that the other person hadn't heard of. But at this point, I can't see them being any. I'm gonna watch a video. I'm like, oh yeah, I know this, and I just completely forgot. But for some reason, it's blank.
The minis are also really small, which I find quite interesting. Like they're super small minis, and it's very narrative driven.
I like that.
So you'll have certain decisions like, oh, are we going to go this way and explore this part? No, we'll go this way. Oh, maybe we should have gone that way, but now you can't because you've chose this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's Destinies by Lucky Duck Games, and it is a great game.
I am going to look this up when I get home. It's the only title so far of all the 100 we've talked about. We're like, oh, I'm going to go home and look this up. I'm going to look at this game. That's pretty nice. My number 13 was on my top 10 last year when we didn't do this list. And then when I revised it, it fell off the top 10. That's only because I started to become a bit more responsible with where I get the game. That being said, there are so many occasions when I do like this game more than other games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a big campaign. It's an engine builder that's very similar to the way Scythe works, but it's got a purely amazing sci-fi theme. It's very underappreciated, folks. Go find it. It's called Kepler 3042.
Oh God!
What?
This is the one where you do Kepler 2048. Kepler 65 through 20.
Yeah, so my video was...
See, I paid attention.
It was kept at 25-25, kept at 35-35, 75-10, yeah, 85-10. Yeah, I know that. Anyway, so, the Kepler 3042... It was actually fun when I posted that video. Somebody went, oh, I caught that. I'm like, Jesus, I didn't think anyone would catch it. That is such a obscure reference. It's a one-hit wonder by the Zagaz brothers from the 1960s. I only know about the song because somebody was singing it in Alien 3. But then I heard about the song later. It's a folk song with a sci-fi apocalyptic edge.
Yep. It's
a one-hit wonder by these two guys. Just listen up. It's in the year 2525. Anyway, so Kepler 3042 is a wonderfully optimistic sci-fi game when you are building ships and you're going out to colonize new worlds. The manual is a love letter to the optimism of spaceflight. And unlike terraforming Mars, which is a free market economic model that's trying to pass it off as a science game, this is a science game that actually has a free market economic model that's inside the system, but the space comes first. I love so many aspects of this game which have such deep-seated scientific ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that everybody has a limited resource pile. Everyone has the exact same... I even took that idea for Brothers Bond. So instead of just having piles of tokens, no, you have these many of these tokens. But in that game, it actually creates a cool little situation where all you're doing is moving resources from your supply of available resources, which is quite literally, this is the amount of energy you could possibly ever acquire given your technology and the resources of the planet you're on, which is freakishly amazing. But you can burn resources out by moving them into entropy. And once they're there, they're gone forever. which means you do not have, like, so if you burn a energy cube into entropy, you literally have now one less cube you can pull whenever you're doing things. But sometimes there are certain situations where you need the benefit of burning that, and there's only 1 point in the entire, or 2 points in the entire game that you have any capacity of pulling things back from entropy. And I love the fact you're building ships, and then when you leave these ships, you go, huh. And I tried my first time playing the game. I thought, you know what? I'm going to build a ship and I'll go to the nearest star system. And I did, and I built bases on that and sent colony ships elsewhere. And then I played it again and went, you know what? I'm going to stay on Earth for like the first third of the game. I'm not, Nicole's going off and she's going in colonies, and all I'm doing is staying on Earth, researching and researching. And then I built a hyperlight ship and flew halfway across the frickin' map and colonized one of the outer worlds, which gives you the most points. And then I played a completely different strategy. I said, you know what? I'm going to jump as quickly as possible, and I go to the nearby worlds and then set up bases there, and then just snake around the inside cluster and just colonize as many worlds as possible. And every single strategy you can think of will work. Like, it's not like certain games that I play where it's just like my issue with Isle of Cats, where the game gives you 4 strategies, but only one of them actually works. Right? This game, I have tried, just as a purely experimental, I'm going to try this strategy, and I win. And I'm going to try this strategy, and I win. It is such an amazing game. It's very much like what we've seen with Vinhos had the same mechanic, Scythe had the same mechanic, where you're moving a meeple across a grid. You can never move it back. You can never use the same action twice, so you have to move to a new action. Similar idea. It also has this great tech tree, and I love the fact that if you reach a certain level of technology, everybody moves up 1, because things aren't developed in a vacuum. So if you developed anti-gravity technology, everyone else moves up 1. You're still advanced than everybody, but nobody goes back, falls that far behind. And some people have almost won the game. I almost won the game. I won the game entirely on the tech tree. Like, you can say, you know what? I don't need to colonize planets. I'm just going to concentrate on the tech tree. And I literally won the game on the tech tree. There's so many things you can do in the game. It's not the prettiest. And then Renegade Studios bought the rights and imported it, and they made the game look pretty. And it looks like shit, because it loses it's too goofy sci-fi, the Renegade version. It's the exact same rules, but they made the ships look like flying bunnies. It's got weird, like, jagged visual effects, and I love the spaceships in the old version. They look like little tiny versions of the Discovery from 2001. It's very optimistic 1960s look to it. It's very earnest and honest, and the Renegade version just feels like it's cloying and it's trying too hard. It's colorful for no reason. That was a long rant. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's Couple 3042. That is my number 13.
All right. My number 13 has already been mentioned as a alternative to another game, and that is Dinogenics.
Oh, really?
Yep. I actually enjoyed it more than Dinosaur Island.
Oh.
And the reason why is because the setup isn't as heavy.
Yeah,
and I kind of enjoy actually building the pens, which is kind of weird. But like actually building the actual fences and being able to control the size of the pens that way, I found more enjoyable. We missed a certain rule which kind of tripped us up the first time we played it. But when I played it, I actually got more enjoyment out of it than Dinosaur Island. And because of that, yeah, it's really good. I still have yet to play it with the expansion because, of course, you know me, I always get everything. But I've played just the base game, and I enjoyed it immensely. And that's the reason why it's way higher than Dinosaur Island. I don't even know where Dinosaur Island is on my list.
Wow.
Oh, Dinosaur Island was down at 60.
That's still not a bad game, but I gotta try this game now. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah. So that's my entry at number 13 is Dinogenics. In my opinion, a better game than Dinosaur Island.
Wow. Don't need to tell me anymore. My number 12 is Gloomhaven. Let's get it out of the way.
Sorry.
Well, this is going to annoy Bob. What? This is going to annoy Bob.
Gloomhaven?
Because, it'll actually anger people because it's not in the top 10. The fact that it's in my top 10.
I'm annoyed that it's this high in your list.
Okay, so, yes, I think the game is fun. I think as a dungeon crawler, it is really refined. I like how the game works. It's got so many good things about it. There's so much game. Yes, it is plagued with 2 really annoying issues. It's plagued with hidden actions, which is dumb, and I don't know anyone who plays with them, and I know it has an issue with the whole, once you complete the mission, everything closes up instantly and you can't loot anything. That's just stupid.
I have another problem that I have with it,
What?
and that is the retirement mechanic. While interesting,
yeah.
your character that comes in is so underwhelmed power-wise, and now he's tagging around with the other people who haven't retired, and are just like, you know, it's like Peter Parker in Civil War showing up at the airport, and he's like, "Hi guys," and everyone else is just like, "Seriously." When you retire and you come in, you feel like Peter Parker in Civil War.
Yeah, but he also kicked ass in that scene until Captain America laid him out. Captain America laid him out. Trust me, if the Captain wanted to lay you out, he would. But yeah, no. Funny thing is, I can just ignore that rule. It's like, okay, well, when I feel ready, I can retire my character, but I like my guy, so I'm going to stick with him, and I'm going to max out his level. I'm going to see how powerful I can get him, and when I feel I'm ready to get rid of him, I'll trade him in. And I know you just said, screw it, we're going to open up boxes, we're just going to play whoever we want to play, but...
No, we
Oh, no, that was Mitch. A friend of mine, Mitch,
Yeah.
he had Gloomhaven, and after 2-3 plays, they just started opening all the boxes.
Yeah, no. We played out the full campaign, but when we hit that point where we had a guy who... He was originally playing, I think, the Tinker, and then he upgraded, and then he became the one with the bear, and he was so useless that he was constantly pulling our team down because he was getting killed.
Of course.
So that killed it for us because it was just like, you're useless, you're dead weight, and it was just like, oh, it was so annoying, and that killed it for us. We stopped playing the game shortly after he became that character.
Anyway, that's my number 12, Gloomhaven.
All right. Number 12 is a amazing dice placement game.
It's amazing. It's in dice placement?
Dice placement.
Okay, well, I know it's not Sagrada or Role Player, because
Nope.
you've already had those other ones.
Nope. This one is amazing. You've got even little minis if you get the deluxe edition that the dice get to ride around in, because they need to get to the hospital because they are sick.
Really?
Dice Hospital coming in at number 12 by Alley Cat Games.
You told me that you called me up and said, I played an amazing game.
Yes.
It's called Dice Hospital, and it's always been on my wish list, but I never got it.
It is. It's an amazing game.
It's not a die placement. You won't roll it. You just, isn't it? You set them and then
you roll them, and then you die placement, and you place them in the wards. Then you try and heal them and adjust their faces to get them out the door.
Okay.
If you don't heal them, they die.
Like how that happens.
And then you get little morgue bags. Oh yeah, little body bags.
It's a game that's like that, where you have a die and you rarely ever die roll. You just move it up or down. Remember a game.
Well, no, because you are rolling them. Because every time you get new patients, you roll them.
No, I know, but after that, it's just mitigating the die roll. I'm trying to remember a game I can't remember now where the dice are rarely ever rolled. They're just it's a game I like too, and I can't remember what it is. Where the dice are barely ever rolled. All you're doing is adjusting them up or down, up or down. Damn, that's gonna bother me now.
Role player?
No, the role player you do roll. You roll them each turn.
But then you place them in your chart.
And yeah, and then there's ways to mitigate them. But there's a game I have where there's like the dice are never rolled.
Unless you're thinking of Space One, which is what the heck's it called? It's the one where you place them out and you've got the corny little spaceships. That's my number 12, Dice Hospital. Basically, you roll your patients and then you try and get them healed up and get them out the door. All right, take it away for number 11. That's right. Let's do this.
Get some again. So I did that. Speaking of Kepler 3042, this game, I had mentioned it in comparison to Kepler 32. It is a refined, perfect engine builder. It's fantastic for it. I love the theme. I was just talking to the designer just last week about it. It is Scythe. I really like Scythe. I like what it does. It's a fun game to play. I love all the stuff that they've done to it. I love the new expansion, the Rise of Fenris, the campaign. I think it was hilarious. I had this conversation with Jamie, and we were talking about the artist, right? Mm-hmm. And how him and Jamie collaborated to create the setting. But ultimately, because the guy had full rights to his own artwork, he has access to some of the stuff that Jamie contributed. And then he sold that artwork again to a video game company to make Iron Harvest. And as a result, a lot of people think Iron Harvest is Scythe, the video game, and some people have said Scythe is Iron Harvest, the board game, and they're like, no. They're just tapping the same artwork, and because the designer created some of the lore aspects, there's a little bit of carryover between the two. And I love during the conversation, Jamie was like, oh, how's the game? I was like, it's shit. He started laughing, like, okay. But it's just like, and the fact that there's been talk about doing like a TV adaptation of either Scythe or Iron Harvest and stuff like that. And I'm just like, but I like Scythe. It's got the minis and so forth. It's got the mechs. I love the certain aspects to it. Even he was even telling me the stuff that he volunteered. That's completely unique to him. Like the factory in the middle of Scythe's map. That's Jamie's contribution. That's entirely something that's unique to Scythe, which is the reason why you do not see the factory in Iron Harvest. Even though the sides are mentioned, like so all the factions in Scythe are mentioned in Iron Harvest, but the factory never is because that's something that was entirely based on the board game. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's area control. I played the game with hardly fighting anybody, and what's hilarious is that fact that like there's only 2 stars you can win from combat. And that being said, we've never played with the militaristic faction, but there's some situations, and it's also one of the few games where I can just watch people play it. Because there have been situations we were playing it online digitally, and my computer crashed, so all I could do is watch other people play it because my computer screen always froze. So I just watched other people play. It was just a fun experience. Anyway, that is my number 11.
Your number 11 came in at 100 for me.
Yeah, I know you have issues with Scythe. I don't know.
It's not my board game, it's the wife's board game, so...
Yeah. So that's number 11 Scythe. It's a fantastic engine builder. It's not the best Stonemaier game, but it's definitely up there, obviously. Pretty game. Good expansions.
Alright. My number 11 coming in is a pick up and deliver game, and it is massive, especially if you have the whole damn thing. Did I give you the clue?
Okay, so pick up and deliver. So it's not Fallout, so it must be waste. What's it?
And the whole damn thing should give away.
Oh, Firefly.
There you go. Yeah. If you have the whole damn verse and you have everything else with it, it is a massive game.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing preventing me from getting it is looking at all the expansions that I could get.
And I love the fact that, I'm going to say the company's name. It's a taboo right now. I don't care. But if you have the Broken Token Big Damn Crate.
When did Broken Token become...
We'll have to cover that in a side later.
It was interesting. We were talking about Stars of Acario. So people were like, man, I wish Broken Token was doing this, Trey.
It's... Okay. So, yeah. Basically, massive pick up and deliver game. You can choose any way you want to win the game. There's so much to get into in that game. It's impossible to cover in this video because there's ways to actually change the game where it actually becomes like you can actually end up becoming the Earl Jubilee. Oh frick, I can't remember the bounty hunter's name. Yeah. Him, you can actually become him and start hunting the other players.
Wow.
If you include one of the expansions.
Well, it's a fact considering that your box set is quite literally a giant wooden box set that takes up almost its own shelf.
Yep. So
it's just crazy.
And I love the fact that as you do missions for other factions, your standing with them gets better. And if the Reavers come out, that caused a whole bunch of fun stuff where I remember that all of us were trying to get to this one mission, we were trying to get to the end, but the game was broken if you have everything because we actually had enough Reavers on the board that no one could get to the end of the game because when the Reavers got moved, everyone else kept blocking everyone's moves, so no one could get to the one planet because they just circled the Reavers around the planet. So we're screwed. That's a game-breaking mechanic, but,
Yeah.
So, that's my number 11, Firefly the game.
Yeah. I think the reason why, once again, I haven't picked it up, I'm gonna get my play worth out of Outer Rim before I just get rid of it and get Firefly.
Oh. And then now they've got an expansion coming out.
For Outer Rim?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about it like one of our videos.
I know.
And they're never gonna make an expansion for this game.
They finally announced it. It's coming out within the next few months.
I gotta write that down. Because I'm like, oh my god, finally? I thought they'd given up.
Nope.
Alright, so yeah, Underwater Cities, Robotech, Lord of the Rings, Dinosaur World, Outer Nine-Room, Smartphone Inc., Caverna, Kepler, Gloomhaven, and Scythe.
And Zaya, Legends of Your System, Too Many Bones. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, Galaxy Defenders, Folklore Affliction, Destinies, Dinogenics, Dice Hospital, and Firefly the Game.
Yeah, I've been Chris.
I've been Dave.
Remember, the rules are just a suggestion.
Play the game how you want to play it.
I said it.